Let's move on, though, into our next bracket of quarterbacks, and we are looking at now 11 through 21. If you're just coming to this segment, well, in the reverse. If you're coming to this segment on YouTube, make sure to check out our first segment where we talked about the quarterbacks at 22 through 32 for our fantasy football quarterback rankings. But let's start off at number 21. Got the Tennessee Titan quarterback, Marcus Mariota. Then at number 20, the new incumbent starter. Did I say that right? Would it be the incumbent starter? Because he's now coming into it.
No, incumbent is if you already had it.
There. So he's the challenger who now took over the spot, and he is now the starter.
He is the starter.
Because he kicked out the incumbent of Alex Smith.
Yep.
Am I using that right now?
Alex Smith was
the incumbent, and then the challenger, Patrick Mahomes, kicked him out.
Basically.
Patrick Mahomes, he's sitting there at 20. Number 19, Andrew Luck, Indianapolis Colts quarterback. Yep. Then at 18, Cardinal quarterback Sam Bradford. He is now the second former Viking on our list, and I think he's going to be the only other former Viking on our list. Number 17, got the new contract.
Here's an incumbent quarterback.
Matty Ice, Matt Ryan. Mm-hmm. Then number 16 for the Cowboys, Dak Prescott. Number 15, San Francisco 49er quarterback, Illinois native Jimmy Garoppolo, or some would say Garoppolo. Then at number 14, Big Ben Roethlisberger for the Steelers. Number 13, Alex Smith with the Washington Redskins. At 12, Jared Goff, Rams quarterback. And at number 11, Mark saying he's the GOAT, Mitch Trubisky with the Chicago Bears.
Which is funny because you're actually higher on him than I am.
I am. I had Mitch Trubisky at 10. You had him at 13.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's where we'll start, only because you mentioned it. And the thing with Trubisky that I just want to say, reason why I put him at 10 is I just have a weird feeling that with the free agency, it's yet again kind of the same theme that I said about Joe Flacco and about Derek Carr. Look at what the Bears have done. The Bears have added Allen Robinson. They added Taylor Gabriel. They added Anthony Miller in the draft. They bring in a coach like Matt Nagy, who, if you just look at what he did in KC and picture Mitch in that with a lot of play action in my books of what they're going to do, I think he's going to have a better season. And I'm being bold by saying he'll be in the top 10 or should be in the top 10 for draftable quarterbacks this year.
You know, I'm definitely high on the potential for Mitch Trubisky, and I would love to have him. I would love to draft him. I for sure would. I think the biggest thing is, Allen Robinson's great. Anthony Miller's going to be fantastic. Trey Burton's going to be a good addition with Shaheen as well at the tight end position. And, of course, we're going to have a coach that will actually be able to use Tariq Cohen as opposed to just trying to have him be Jordan Howard.
Just as a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they tried to do these weird things where they want him to kind of be Jordan Howard, but then they made it really obvious when they were going to do other whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some great potential here. My reservation for Mitch Trubisky, and the reason why I had him a little bit lower as my 13th draftable quarterback, was purely because I think it'll take a tiny bit of time to learn the offense. You know, that's the only
system
thing.
Coming in, a lot of new pieces coming in,
and a lot of new.
Also.
I mean, basically, you have all brand new wide receivers, which, with the exception of Shaheen at the tight end position,
and Kevin White, but he's been injured.
Kevin White's not a thing. You know, Josh Bellamy being your only other reoccurring thing. Which by the time we get to trying to draft for fantasy football, Bellamy might not even be on the team.
True.
So. You know, it's interesting right now. There's just a lot of new stuff. I think that Trubisky has some good potential, and he's one of those people where if he falls or if he somehow... Actually, the thing that I want to say with Trubisky is what I can see happening is somebody drafts him early, expecting him to go, lights out.
And then he doesn't
in week like 1, 2, 3, 4, and they cut him.
You drop him, and then you pick him up.
Then you can jump on him. Pounce on him if he gets dropped.
Here's the guy I wanted to ask you about first, but you brought up the Trubisky thing, so I asked you about him. What are your thoughts on Andrew Luck?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
For Andrew Luck, it's like if he's 100% healthy, top 10 fantasy quarterback, even with the wide receivers that they have in Indianapolis. However, if there's even a little bit of question about his health and what he's going to be like, what are you thinking with Andrew Luck coming into 2018?
The hard thing with Andrew Luck is that injury. And the question mark of when he starts. The biggest thing for me beyond just the injury was I was sitting here wondering, when is he actually going to start? Because without a doubt, I think he'll be back at some point in this season. Is it going to be a week 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it's going to be? But if he comes back in like a week 5 or 6, it was not a good idea to draft him early. That's the thing that really made him fall for me. I mean, I love having Quentin Nelson. They went with Smith in the second round, another guard. They were not afraid to go and get what he needs. They got a lot of pieces on the defense as well. They tried to make this team all around better, but still we sit here with the fact that even though he's got a better offensive line, even though he's got some pass rush help on the defensive side of the ball now, the Colts still have quite a few holes to fix.
Well, he hasn't thrown a regular football, too. He's basically thrown mini Nerf footballs.
But I'm not too concerned about that. When he's back, he'll be back. And he's got a better team around him.
It's just when he's going to be back.
Exactly. And I don't know that until I have a more firm answer, I am not willing to spend a higher draft pick. I would be very, very thrilled if I was someone who waited and, maybe I get a top tier-ish quarterback like a Jared Goff, Alex Smith, and Mitch Trubisky, Ben Roethlisberger, a guy who's towards the top but not at the top. And then I can say, get Andrew Luck. If I have a quarterback that's got a week 8, 9, 10 type of bye week, I would love to have Andrew Luck because I know he'll be ready by then.
I am really scared for scared not for Andrew Luck, but basically I am not drafting Andrew Luck this year. Like, he is the one quarterback on this list that is not Josh McCown that I would say don't even draft him. Just don't even waste your time with him, because when it comes to me with fantasy football, if he's going to be that big of a question, I'm going to try to get what I need somewhere else. Like, I think it's going to be a huge, as of right now, if everything pans out and the injury, if we find out by the regular season that, hey, he's going to start week 1 and that he's been playing well in his preseason games and practices and stuff, then maybe this gets erased. But right now at this time, I'm not even going to waste my time on him. And that's why for me, I had him at 20, because I'm like, you know what? Just because he's Andrew Luck, he deserves to be a top 20 fantasy quarterback, but I can't put him any higher.
Yeah.
But if he's 100% healthy, could shoot up to as high as top 10.
He's going to be a little bit of that gamble. I mean, you're going to have to make that gut call yourself come draft night.
I wouldn't.
If you're going to roll the dice or not. And honestly, I feel like if I'm sitting there and let's say I magically got Aaron Rodgers, or Tom Brady, Carson Wentz.
So you got the number 1 pick
I got
in your
one
draft.
of these great guys. No, if you got the number 1 pick in your draft, you don't draft a quarterback.
Some people do.
You don't do that, Ricky.
I don't, but I'm saying some people
don't do it.
In our draft, we've had number 1 picks be Aaron Rodgers before.
Yeah, and they make bad decisions. But let's say that you somehow get one of the top 3, 4 quarterbacks. You get the tier 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
You can sit there and say, I'll take an Andrew Luck. I will draft an Andrew Luck because you have such great trade bait potential later on.
And if he's not good by the bye week that I need him, I can just pick someone else up.
There'll have been someone else on the waiver wire that you can get. If you're an IR, if you have a league with IR, you just stash them on the IR anyways.
The only way that hurts you is like last year. Let's say you did that, and what happened to Aaron Rodgers last year happens, where it's like, great, he got injured, I'm fucked.
Yep. But were you really going to want your backup quarterback to fill in for that much time anyways?
No.
So I don't think it's that big of a difference in that case.
That's why to me it's like it's just the biggest question mark, and for me I would just avoid them altogether.
It's all about your risk tolerance.
Exactly, and I don't think he's that big of a risk tolerance.
It's your risk tolerance.
Exactly. I don't think that
you don't have enough tolerance to risk.
Exactly. The guy I wanted to mention next though is Alex Smith. Okay. Because if he was with the Chiefs, I might have him in the top 10, might even have him close to top 5. But with this Washington Redskin team, when it comes to fantasy, they've got some receiving options out there, but like we talked about last week, they do have a great tight end. But what we talked about last week when it comes to them, will those receivers be enough for Alex Smith? Will Doxson, Crowder, Richardson, will they be enough for Alex Smith?
Well, they have a great weapon in Darius Geis.
Exactly. But
so that's nice.
But are they going to use him as a primary runner? As how much is he going to be receiving out of the backfield?
Well, even if he opens up the opportunity for play action, it'll certainly help. And to me, I wonder what they're going to ask Alex Smith to do.
Exactly.
Are they going to sit there and watch week 1 against the Patriots and say, I want that Alex Smith? Or are they going to...
You don't have the weapons. Then.
Exactly. Or are they going to sit there and say,
Where's your Tyreek Hill?
I want this dink and dunk Alex Smith. Bring me that guy.
Yeah.
And if you want dink and dunk, Alex Smith is a solid middle-of-the-road fantasy football quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, that's the hard thing. We don't really know what they're going to ask him to do, what they're going to want. And I agree with you completely. I don't trust the weapons around him. I don't know that I trust the coaching staff all that much because they had a great Kirk Cousins quarterback.
And they just let him go.
They let him go, and this is a completely different quarterback. And even before they let him go, they let some of his weapons go as well. So it's the kind of thing where that alone scares me just decision-making wise, but I just don't know what kind of Alex Smith we're going to see. I'm willing to draft him, not as my number 1 quarterback probably, but I think that he's the kind of guy where if I draft him, I'm going to draft another quarterback probably fairly soon as well.
Well, and I mean, some people are going to say, well, guys, you're crazy because Alex Smith last year, and I'm looking at ESPN's, of course they won't let me change off of PPR, but whatever, I'll deal with it. Last year he had, how many points did he have? About 295, maybe 96, if you're going to round up, but he was the 4th most scoring quarterback last year.
He was on a great team with a great offensive coordinator.
Team. That's exactly what I was going to say.
And a coach that is known for making quarterbacks better. He
only had 2 games where he scored less than double-digit points. It was week 11 when he had 7.9 against the Giants. That's when he had 2 INTs, no touchdowns, 230 yards. The other one was when he had 0 points against Denver because he didn't play. Those were the only 2 times. Otherwise, it was all double digits, and I'm looking at most of them like upper 20s. There's a few 30s in there, high teens. So
I mean, you got to think about it for those type of people of, you know, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt coming out of nowhere.
I just don't.
These guys were these weapons around him are so much better.
And because of that, like you see the 27 against Washington, the 27 points against Houston, the 37 points against the Jets. Let's tailor those down a little bit. Maybe his high is not a 37 game. It's a 27 game. It's a 29 game.
Which is still good.
It's still good, but it's like you maybe see 1 of those, not 2 or 3 of those, maybe even 4 of those like we did last year.
And this falls similar to Andrew Luck, but in a different way, another risk tolerance type of thing where you have to ask yourself, deep down in your gut, are you comfortable taking a guy that has lesser weapons now, different coaching staff around him, a team that is lower quality, you know, just all this new stuff. Are you willing to do that? And for me, I don't necessarily know that I would take that risk in that case. And I really think too that, you know, you look at what he had around him. Having a coach in Andy Reid is going to be amazing.
Also had Matt Nagy.
Well, I was going to get to that next. Matt Nagy, a guy who was a great offensive coordinator, who is a hotly desired offensive coordinator to become a head coach. Now he's a head coach.
Yep.
And people are talking about Chicago as one of these underrated dark horse type of offenses.
Yeah, Bears.
He doesn't have that right now. He does not have that in Washington. And even though Kirk Cousins was able to do good stuff in Washington, Kirk Cousins is a very different quarterback than Alex Smith. And it's not Alex Smith is going to be a bad fantasy football quarterback. It's I would draft these 12 people before I would draft Alex Smith.
There's also a few quarterbacks here that I feel like this is the range where there's a lot of questions because to me, I look at like Big Ben. Question about, you've got the killer bees out there, but the Le'Veon thing, how much is that going to hurt?
Yeah.
Really, is it just Antonio Brown?
Is it going to be in his head about Mason Rudolph?
Yeah, how he was asked about that and basically said, I'm not going to worry about that kind of a thing.
But he did immediately come out and say, I'm mad about it. He also said, don't worry, guys, I got 3 to 5 more years left. Don't worry, I'm still here.
Which this is, to me, because that was one of the things we would have talked about if we weren't going to do the fantasy ranking thing.
Yeah.
The thing I like about that is it reminds me exactly of Brett Favre.
Exactly.
You might have 3 to 5 left, but that 3, 4, 5 is probably going to be with our team.
And here's the thing, which even more is Brett Favre of, I might retire, he says in 2016. No, I'll come back. 2017, yeah, I might retire. No, I'll come back. 2018, finally, they call his bluff. And he's like, no, I'm still here. I'm still here.
And this isn't for this year. This is just a little off tangent about Big Ben. I still think he plays this year starter, next year starter. Contract's over. It's like, bon voyage, Big Ben. We got your replacement, and he'll go play with another team for about 2 more years. But, like, Big Ben, question to me with teams that are the players around him, will he have the same weapons for next year or for this year? Jimmy Garoppolo, they didn't really go, like, yeah, they got you a Mike McGlinchey to protect you, but that's not going to get you fantasy points. They didn't go and get you a weapon this offseason. So for Jimmy Garoppolo, is he really going to make a big jump, or is he just kind of going to stay? He wins games, but is he going to stay in that middle teen area for fantasy points? Dak Prescott, they get rid of they get rid of Dez Bryant. Don't really add anything there. He didn't throw it on
anyways.
What are they going to do year 3? And then with the Zeke suspension, that also played into that as well. And then Matt Ryan, you lose Taylor Gabriel.
Yep.
I know they added a wide receiver, but it's like
the old adage of he got paid. Is he going to play that hard this year?
He did. Like, they added Calvin Ridley, but it's like...
I do like the Calvin Ridley, though.
Is that going to be enough to offset the Taylor Gabriel
I love it. Devonta Freeman. That is a high-powered offense.
Do you think that he makes a jump from where he is right now in our rankings? Because some might think he's a little low.
I got a couple guys in this territory that I think are low. And we're part of it.
Because I had Matt Ryan at 17. You had him at 18.
Yeah.
So it's not like we were vastly different.
No. I think Matt Ryan is one of those guys who, if anybody is saying you have him too low, I'm going to say, all right, you probably have a point.
Yeah.
I still stand by my rankings. The other one I do think is Ben Roethlisberger.
Okay.
But the thing about Ben Roethlisberger to me is just this. We have seen a little bit of the decline. Not a huge decline for Big Ben, but the Steelers in general as well. Then also the fact of, with Matt Ryan, I am a little bit of a firm believer in once you pay them, they don't try as hard the next year. The immediate following year is a down year usually once you pay a guy.
Kind of like, I know I'm going to bring a basketball reference into this, but it's like what we're seeing with Hassan Whiteside on the Heat, where it's like contract year, oh my God, he's amazing, he's playing, and then he gets paid, and it's like, oh, why don't you care anymore?
Because they don't have to.
Why don't you care
they
anymore?
Don't have to.
Why are you getting a little lazy, Hassan?
And I want to throw something out too. A couple guys I want to mention. Patrick Mahomes. I like the potential of Patrick Mahomes.
I was going to say.
But the 2 things that I really have against him right now is I just want to pause the hype. He's new. We haven't really seen him play. I mean, he had that 1 game where he did well. We haven't really seen him play. The other thing is, yes, Andy Reid is there, but Matt Nagy is not there. So if anybody's looking at
him like a rookie this year.
Yes, if anybody's looking at what Alex Smith was able to do, you have to pause and say, well, hold on, the offensive coordinator is different. We have new things that we're learning right now.
Yeah.
So I think you need to put a pause on that. The other guy I want to mention is Sam Bradford.
I was going to bring him up.
He needs to get mentioned because if you had watched our first segment, you know that I pointed out all of they have a rookie behind them, quarterbacks, including Joe Flacco.
And Sam's the last one.
Sam Bradford's the last one. But I feel more confident about Sam Bradford not losing his job to the rookie. It's just injury. Injury is the thing to be scared of with Sam Bradford.
To me, it was a 2-pronged thing because just for the sake of parity, I had Sam Bradford the lowest at 22. You had him the highest out of 2 of us at 16. So you were closer to where he kind of finished up. He finished off at 18 because of me. But the 2 things I thought of was, 1, injury. I feel like he's either going to get injured or he's going to get benched. Like, that's what I think.
I really don't see the benching.
I still feel like there's a possibility he could even get benched this year just because of the quarterback behind him. However, the positive side, is it going to be a positive having a guy like Larry Fitzgerald? Because he's never...
And David Johnson.
But I'm talking receiver-wise.
Run game helps.
He didn't have a Larry Fitzgerald in Minnesota. He didn't have a Larry Fitzgerald in Philadelphia. Yeah, a lot of that, too, was staying on the field healthy, but Larry Fitzgerald is a great target to have.
And they've got a good defense. I mean, it's not what it used to be, but it's a good defense.
It has no honey badger.
No, that he's in Houston now. It's still a good defense, so he will get the ball back.
Yep.
That's one of those things right there where, a lot going in his favor for that. And of those guys who have a rookie behind them, he's the one I feel the most confident about. I mean, obviously, he's in the second tier here.
Now, I feel like this question's going to be kind of slighted towards the younger players, but I'll ask you the same question I had at the end of the last one. Take your pick. Who's the one guy from 11 through 21 that you feel like next year we're talking about in the top 10?
Well, a guy who I think we kind of slighted a little bit, only because we don't have the sample size, is Jared Goff. Jared Goff is
Did we slight him?
Well, I mean,
we just haven't mentioned him
He's
today.
sitting here at 12.
True.
I would call that a slight.
Yeah,
he's sitting behind Mitchell Trubisky.
See, I mean, I had him at 14 only because, I don't know. I couldn't put him above Big Ben, Alex Smith, and Drew Brees.
I believe I
couldn't.
did. I had him at 10.
Yeah.
And here's the thing for me with Jared Goff was, if we go off of the rookie year,
well, you didn't have him in
terrible.
front of Drew Brees because you had Drew Brees higher than me.
I love Drew Brees. Yeah. If you have him there, I mean, you look at rookie year, you forget about it. If you look at this sophomore year, his second year, which is last year, the thing about not Drew Brees, the thing about Jared Goff was it was great. For me, I just want to see it again. That's the only thing that's giving me the reservation with Jared Goff. I'm not willing to take him. I had him at 10. I wasn't able to, and you can figure out who some of these guys are, but this isn't the order, so I'm okay with this. I wouldn't take him above a Drew Brees, Kirk Cousins, Stafford, Rodgers, Tom Brady, Carson Wentz, any of those type of guys.
Guys we're going to talk about in a little bit.
I wouldn't take him above those guys. Although, feel free to call me out on a little bit of this hypocrisy if you want to say small sample size, because Carson Wentz is obviously still hasn't been mentioned. Or Deshaun Watson obviously has not been mentioned yet. But anyways, I'm okay with that. But for me with Jared Goff, and part of it's just the Rams in general, I'm a little bit scared of, was this 2014 or 2013 when the Chiefs first got Alex Smith and first got Andy Reid, and they were really hot, and they had a great season. I don't remember which year it was. Yeah, no one had tape on him. They had an easy schedule. I think that the Rams surprised a lot of people, and Jared Goff is a good quarterback, but I'm not willing to put him into this top tier of fantasy yet, only because I want to see it again. And I am willing to be proven wrong on Jared Goff for this one. I'm okay with that if I get to see it again. He's a guy who I think, if things go right, will shoot himself right into the top 5 fantasy football quarterbacks.
I've got 2 names. 2 that I think could be, one of these 2 will be talking about top 10 next year. One I already have in the top 10 is Mitch Trubisky. I think he's either going to be a top 10er this year, like I
hope he's number 1.
He is, but also I feel like he's going to have such a big jump his sophomore year with Nagy that next year the hype train's even going to be even bigger with him, where it's like he's a top 10 fantasy option at quarterback. The other guy's Jimmy Garoppolo, and I know I said, he doesn't have the weapons, but I feel like what's going to happen with him is he's still going to be really good. He's going to be like a 15 to 18 kind of a guy for fantasy. But then this next offseason, they will add then those wide receiver weapons they didn't get this time, and that will boost him. It's like, Jimmy's got his weapons. There he goes. He's a top 10 guy.
Because I feel like this is the area where this is relevant.
Who's going to fall?
No, not who's going to fall. Is there a sleeper in here that's like
Patrick Mahomes?
You should target this guy. You really think Patrick Mahomes is a sleeper?
I'm saying sleeper only because of what we said. Treat him like he's a rookie, but there's that potential with that arm that KC really liked in that KC system with those KC weapons. He's a guy that if I got my number 1, I got my number 2, I'm sitting last round, I'm just taking whatever.
My question is what system?
I'm going ahead and grabbing him.
We don't know the system yet.
But it's not going to, Matt Nagy's not there, but it's not going to be it's not going to be vastly different than what we saw. It's not going to be the same, but the weapons are still similar. He still has, and they added Sammy Watkins to that wide receiver core. So, I mean, to me, he's the biggest sleeper here, to where with that, what they like to do, the weapons out there, if he's a guy last round still there, snag him even if you're holding 3, because it could benefit you later in the year.
Yeah, I don't think Patrick Mahomes will last that long for people.
Or later rounds.
Yeah, I just think that he's one of those guys where the hype train is too much.
You got most of your starters. You're sitting there going, I'm looking for some bench players. I've got 2 quarterbacks. I'd still take Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I don't disagree necessarily. I just think the hype train is going to ride him too high.
Before you get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The guy who I pick is Sam Bradford.
Okay.
It's risk.
If he plays all 16.
Yeah, I mean, it's risk for sure.
Remember, two years ago, I made the bold prediction saying he'd play every game, and he did.
He did.
It could happen.
So that's the thing. I mean, that's all the evidence I need in the world to say it's possible.
Once.
It is possible. Didn't it happen his rookie year? I thought he started all 16 in his rookie year.
Maybe, I don't know.
But anyways,
he's been
fans
injured ever since.
Fans of Sam Bradford, let us know down below. But he's a good quarterback. He's got a great running back who hopefully is going to be healthy. He's got Fitzgerald there.
Not Fitzmagic.
I always want to say it now. Fitzmagic has ruined it for me. Anytime there's a Fitz, I want to say Fitzmagic. But anyways, he's there as well. So this is going to be good. It's a good defense. He's going to have a lot of opportunities. The other thing that's nice, and you could say the same thing about Jared Goff, Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo. They're in a division that is designed for shootouts.
Yep.
And he's going to be forced to throw it, and Sam Bradford can throw it. He's accurate. He's got a great arm. He can do it. He can make it happen. So he's a good guy to kind of reach out. And I think he'll fall because people are scared of Josh Rosen and the injuries.
Well, this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think about our 11 through 21 down below. And who do you like? Who do you not like? Who's going to rise? Who's going to fall? Let us know how you would rank them down below in the comment section.